Hello my friends, today we are gonna design this beautiful pizza ordering application using Next.js. There's an awesome slider here. We can see the pizza list and features of each pizza. And we are gonna have a product page where we can choose our pizza size and additional toppings. After adding to the cart, we can go to the cart page. And it's gonna include products that we want to order. And finally, we are gonna create an order page where users can track their orders. You are gonna see how easy to design responsive and SEO optimized website using Next.js. And in the next tutorial, we will create our own API and we will be able to add new products, update orders, and receive payments. By the way guys, you can let me know in the comments which payment methods would you like to see here, Stripe or PayPal or any other provider. I'll consider your comments. Okay, if you want to see more tutorials like this, please like the video. If you are ready, let's get started. Okay, let's create next application. To do that, I will write here npx create next app. And I will enter, and it's gonna ask the project name because I forgot writing dot. If I write here dot, it's gonna install everything in this main folder. Okay guys, it's ready. We have got here public folder, our pages, and styles folder. Let's start our application and let's see what we have. I will say yarn dev. I can see this page. Perfect. So let's delete everything in this page. I will go to index page and here, let's close here actually. I'm gonna delete everything here, but I'm gonna leave this head tag and I'm gonna explain you why. And let's write here just home page. Like that. This head component is important because that allows us to enhance our website SEO. So you can write here your title, let's say pizza restaurant in, let's say, New York. And also you can change your description, let's say best pizza shop in town. And also you can add your keywords, icon or whatever. And if you go to website and open your console, as you can see, we have head tag here. You can see your description, your title. It's awesome that because we cannot do this with React.js. Of course we can, but it's not that easy. Only thing I should do is writing here head component. It comes from next and head, and writing my meta tags. And there's one more thing here, which is image. That because we are not able to write here any image HTML tag. If I write here source and let's add some images here. And don't forget, you should create your image folder in public folder. So I will say just image. And inside this folder, I'm gonna drag and drop my images, which we are gonna use in our application. Okay, let's use one of them. Let's say logo.png, of course, image first. And as you can see, it warns us that because we used HTML image tag and it says do not use image, use image component from next and image instead. Of course, if you go to website, it's still gonna work. It's here, but we cannot see because it's just white. But the best practice is using image tag here. And here, don't forget writing alt. You can leave it empty, and right now there is no warning. We are using this component that because Next.js is optimizing our images automatically. Okay, let's delete this, and I'm gonna show you one more thing. Of course, we are not gonna have just one page. We are gonna have home page, we are gonna have product page, cart page, and for all those pages, I just wanna add here a navbar and footer. Of course, when you create your pages, you can add them one by one writing here navbar, and after content you can write here footer. But imagine you have 10 pages, 20 pages. It's not the efficient way. So what I'm gonna do is creating a layout. What I mean by that, you will understand better right now. So basically, I'm just gonna create here a component folder. And here I will say navbar first. You can use JS or JSX. Doesn't matter. I'm using JSX because it's easier to handle HTML elements. So second one will be footer. And let's create layout. I'm gonna create my functions. Let's say navbar and footer. If I go to index.js, I can just call them here, as I said, like that, and for footer. And as you can see, we have navbar, content, and footer. But if you do that, you have to write them again and again. So you don't have to do that. I'm just gonna delete them. And here, by the way, I'm gonna delete everything in this CSS file. As you can see, there are a lot of things here. I'm just gonna delete. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is creating here a component function and writing here navbar and footer, and between them I'm gonna deploy my page components. To do that, I can write here children, and this children will come from here as a prop. Let's delete this div. By the way, I'm just gonna use React fragments. You don't have to write div. And how I'm gonna use these children? If I go to app.js, our main JavaScript file, as you can see, there is only one component here, and this is our pages. For example, for the home page, it's gonna be index.js. We are gonna create here a product page. By the way, why these components are here? I'm just gonna put this to main folder. Okay. Pages are different and components are different. So when I create here any other pages, this app.js is gonna render that page. So if I use here my layout and wrap this component, we are gonna see our navbar and footer in every page. Let's do that. I will come here and say layout, and I'm gonna cover this component. Okay. If I save and see my page, as you can see, they are here. So if I create another page, let's say about.js, and I'm gonna create my function about page. If I go to my app and write here about, as you can see, navbar, my content and footer, they are gonna be in any page. So I can delete this page. I'm gonna close everything here and open my Navbar.js. So let's create our items. But firstly, how I'm gonna give a style for those items? I will give here class name, and in React.js, remember, we are just writing here any class name, and we are creating Navbar CSS and writing our styles. But in Next.js, we are not gonna use like that. As you remember, we have a folder here which includes our styles. I'm just gonna write here new CSS module. It's gonna be navbar and module.css. So how I'm gonna use it? Let's come here and I will say import styles and styles navbar.module.css. So if I write here styles dot, let's say, container, I will be able to give style here. I will say container and background color, let's say red. Oops, I have a typo. Okay, perfect. So let's delete here, and we are gonna handle later. But before, let's decide what we are gonna need. Firstly, we are gonna have 3 items. let's say item here, and 3 of them. First one will include our phone number and some icon maybe, and second one will include menu items, menu links, and the last one will be just cart button. Okay, let's do that. I'm gonna create new div here. It's gonna be call button, like that, and inside this button I'm gonna create image. Let's say source, and it's gonna be image. Let's see what we have here, public folder and image. As you can see, there is a pawn image here. We can use it. PNG, and of course alt here, and I'm gonna import image from Next, like that. And after this icon I'm gonna write some texts. It's gonna be 2 texts, so I will just wrap them. Let's say div class name styles.texts, and each one will be just text, like that. I'm just gonna write here order now and phone number of this restaurant. As you can see, there is an error. It's a common error if you are using image tag. That's because you have to use any width and height, or you can use layout fill property. Let's give some width and height. Width will be 32, height will be 32, like that, and let's see again. Okay, so let's give some style for this container and those items. I'm gonna take this CSS here and I'm gonna close sidebar, like that. Firstly, I'm gonna give height, let's say 100 pixels. I will give some padding from top and bottom and left and right. And let's say background color, I'm gonna use this specific color here. Okay, let's give some items for this center and right side. Remember, we have 2 more items. I will say center and right, like that. As you can see, they are here. But how I'm gonna make them horizontal? It's really easy. As we always do, we are gonna use display flex and align item center, like that. To separate them, I'm gonna use justify content and I will say space between. As you can see, it starts from 0, remember we have padding here, and it ends in 0 point also. We have padding here also. Perfect. I'm gonna do one more thing. I will say position sticky, and I will say top 0. In this case, even if we scroll this page, this navbar is gonna stay here. You'll see it better after creating something for this home page. This first and last item will be a little bit smaller, that because center item is gonna include our links and it's gonna be a little bit longer. So what I'm gonna do is giving width for these items. I will say for each item, it's gonna be flex 1. But for the second item, to choose that, we can use add child here, because this is our first child, second and third. So I'm gonna use second and I will say flex 3. To see it better, I will write here background color and let's say white. As you can see, they are just 1 unit and this center is 3 units. If I make this 5, it's gonna be bigger. If I make this 1 again, they are gonna be same size. It works like that. So let's give here display flex for each item and align item center. In this case, this button and this text will be horizontal. Of course, we cannot see it because it's same color. We are gonna change it. Let's delete this background and let's take care of this call button. I will say background color is gonna be white. Right now we can see better, but I'm gonna make it circle. let's say border radius 50 pixels, and I'm gonna give some padding like that, maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, and what about this text container? Remember, it's text. Firstly, I'm gonna give margin here between this button, and color will be white. And for the first text, again, I'm gonna use child, but this time it's gonna be first child, or it can be nth child, and the parameter is 1. Font size, let's say 12 pixels. Font weight will be a little bit bolder, like that. And for the second child, you can use last child here, and again you can use nth child, doesn't matter. And font size will be 20 pixels, and font weight, let's say bold, like that. Perfect. So our first item is ready. Let's take care of this center. I will shrink this here a little bit, and for the center I'm gonna create a UL tag, and inside we are gonna have list items. Of course, let's give class name for them, like that. And I will say list and list item. And first item will be homepage, products, menu, events, blog, and contacts. Events, blog, and contact. Of course, we are not going to create all those pages. It's not that important, but I'm just writing anyway. And here in the middle, I'm going to add my logo. So again, image, source, and here will be image logo.png, and it's going to be old. You can write here any keyword, and let's give width and height. I'm going to use original width and height. By the way, you can create here any div as a parent, and you can use here layout and fill, but I'm not going to do that. But don't worry, I'm going to show this also. I'm just going to write here height and width, 96 pixels. Let's quickly create here cart logo and our counter. So I will say div, and inside image I will just copy this and paste here, and finally one more div, and it's going to be our product quantity, let's say 2. It's just a design right now. I will change this. It's going to be cart, and it's going to be, let's say, counter, and I'm going to change here cart png, let's say 30 and 30, like that. Let's take care of their styles. I will make here bigger, and let's get started with list. Remember, it's UL tag. Firstly, I'm gonna delete default padding of this UL tag, like that. It starts from in this 0 point. And again, let's make them horizontal and center them horizontally, like that. I will delete list dots, so I will say list style none, and text color will be white, like that. Perfect. So let's give some margin between them. List item, margin 20, and font weight will be a little bit bolder. And oops, I said 50, it's going to be 500. Okay, perfect. So what about this cart? As you can see, it starts from left 0 point, but I want to see this at the end of the navbar. So if I use item, and remember this is center, and it's going to be right item. Of course, you can use just last item also, sorry, last child. And I'm going to write here justify content and flags end. In this case, it's going to go to the end of the screen, end of the navbar. And what about this counter? Basically, I'm gonna make this position absolute and I'm gonna move this somewhere here, top and right. To do that, I have to make this parent position relative. Remember, this is the parent div. So let's do that. I will say cart is gonna be position relative. And for the counter, I will say position absolute. And if I say top 0 and right 0, as you can see, it's here. But if I say -10 and -10, it's gonna be somewhere here. Perfect. Let's give some more style. Firstly, I'm gonna give width and height. And I'm gonna make this circle. That's because I'm gonna give some background color. It's gonna be white. And let's give some padding. Like that. As you can see, it's not centered. Let's do this quickly. Display flags, align item center, justify content center. And perfect. Let's make this bold. And color will be our main color. Like that. It looks really nice. Of course, I just made this logo in 30 seconds. I just chose any font. You can change it. I know it's not perfect, but anyway, it's not that important. So we finished navbar component. Let's take care of our slider here. So let's close them and create new component. And it's gonna be featured. Featured or slider. I will just write here F and I'm gonna write image and styles. Let's create this CSS file here. I'm gonna close this public folder, by the way. Okay. I will say featured module.css. Perfect. To use this component, I will go to index.js and instead of homepage, I will just call my component here. Let's see. Okay, it's here. So what I'm gonna do? Firstly, we are gonna have a container. Class name, styles and container. And in this container, we are gonna have two arrows that we can click on the left side and right side and we can slide our images. So let's create image. Source will be image and arrow left PNG. And let's close. And we are gonna have one more image and it's gonna be arrow right, and between them we are gonna have a wrapper. Let's create another container like that. It's gonna be wrapper, and in this wrapper we are gonna have images. But for each image I'm gonna create one more container, that because it's gonna contain all this screen. You will understand better what I mean. And here I will say image container. And in this container, I'm gonna create one more image. Let's say source, image, and featured PNG. And we are gonna have two more images like that. But writing them one by one is not a good idea. To prevent this, I will just create here an array which includes our images, featured 1, 2, and 3. And instead of writing them again and again, I'm just gonna create here images and map. And for each image, I'm gonna use this image component. And as you can see, there is an error, that because we didn't use any unique key here. You can create object for each image and you can give some ID. But if you don't wanna do that, you can basically just write here index, which is the index number for each child. For example, for this one, it's gonna be 0, 1, and 2. So I can use it here. I'll say key, it's gonna be just index. If I open my application, it's not gonna look what we want, that because we didn't give any width, height, or this property. So how I'm gonna handle that? Remember, we always use width and height, but this time I'm gonna use layout fill property, and you are gonna understand how we are gonna use it with the parent container. And for this one, so let's take care of our stats. I'm gonna open featured module and CSS, and I'm gonna separate this. And let's write here container first. This is our main container. So what I'm gonna do is making this navbar and featured component full screen. It's gonna be 100 VH, but I should consider this navbar. Remember, it's 100 pixels. To do that, we can use calculate method. So I will say calculate 100 VH minus 100 pixels. So let's give here our main color, background color. Okay, perfect. As you can see, it's 100%. We have just footer here. So what about those images? We use layout and fill. So in this case, we have to use a parent. So let's create here image container. It's gonna be arrow container. I forgot doing that. I will just do this right now, like that. And I'm gonna do the same thing for other arrow, like that. And I'm gonna cover. Okay. So in this case, this is our parent. If I come here and say position relative, those images are gonna fill this container according to its size. If I say width 100, height 100, as you can see, it contains all this container. If I say 300, they are gonna be bigger like that. So let's give here 10% and 20% as you wish, but it looks really nice. But what I want to do is separating those containers. First one will be here and second one will be here. To do that, instead of relative, I can use position absolute, and I'm gonna center them. Top 0, bottom 0, and if I say margin auto, it's gonna be centered vertically. But for the left side, I'm gonna use inner style, that because if I write here, it's gonna affect this right side also. So let's write here style, and I will say left 0. So I will do the same thing for other one, and in this case it's gonna be right 0. As you can see, perfect. And when I hover over, I just wanna see cursor pointer. I will say cursor pointer, and that's all. By the way, I forgot changing this image. Like that. For each image, it's gonna take just one of them. So what about this wrapper? It's gonna contain all those images. We are gonna have 3 images. I will say 300 VW. Each container will be 100 VW, which means full screen. By the way, this container will be in this images map. And in this case, key will be here, not in image. Okay. So let's use this container also with 100 VW. And again, I'll say position relative. That's because we used layout fill. And let's say height 100%. In this case, its parent should have any height also. It's gonna be 100% again. And its parent, remember, our container is 100 VH minus 100 pixels. Okay, let's see. Okay, but how I'm gonna make this wrapper horizontal? It's really easy, like that. In this case, this is our first container, second and third one. Perfect. And when I click this button, we are just gonna move this wrapper like that. We are gonna see only this picture. When I click again, it's gonna move like that. It's that easy. But as you can see, our images look a little bit strange. That's because width is a little bit higher compared to height. To prevent this, I'm just gonna write here object width and contain. Like that. It's much better right now. So how I'm gonna get rid of this scroll? It's really easy. I will come here and say overflow hidden. In this case, we are gonna see only this picture. So how I'm gonna add this functionality? Firstly, let's set some index here using useStateHook. I will say const index or slide number, set index, and it's gonna be useStateHook, and at the beginning it's gonna be 0 because we are gonna see this first image first. And when I click this button, we are just gonna increase. When I click this button, we are gonna decrease. But there's some important point here. If it's the first item, which means index is 0, when we click this button, it shouldn't be -1. It's supposed to stay either at 0 or it can be just 3, which is last item. We are gonna give this functionality. But as you can see, when I hover over this arrow button, I cannot see my cursor pointer. To prevent this, let's write here that index is gonna be just 2 or whatever more than 1. Okay, perfect. So what I'm gonna do, let's close here. I'm gonna give some function for the left and right arrow. I will say on click event, when you click this arrow, just call this function handle arrow. And as a parameter, I will give lword, and I will do the same thing for the right side. Let's copy and paste, and in this case it's gonna be right. So let's create this function here, const handle arrow. It's gonna be direction here, and I'm gonna write here my condition. I will say if direction is right or left, let's say left first, and I'm gonna set my index. Remember, it was 0 at the beginning, and I'm gonna write here my condition. I will say if index is not 0, decrease this number, index -1. But if it's 0, by the way, I forgot here question mark, which is if, and column here, which is else. So if it's not 0, it should be the last item, which is index number 2. You will understand better right now. So I'm gonna do the same thing for the right side. I will say if it's 2, which is the last item, I'm gonna increase this number. If it's not, when I click the right button, we have to go to the first item, which is 0. Let's see what we have here. Console log and index. As you can see, it's 0. I'm clicking here. Right now it's 1. By the way, don't worry about this warning. It's because we made the parent absolute. And I'm clicking again. As you can see, it's 2. If I click again, it's gonna be 0 because we don't have any image. And again, it's gonna be just do the same thing. And for the last item, if I click, as you can see, it's decreasing. Right now it's 1. I'm clicking again, 0. But if I click again, it's not gonna be -1, it's gonna be 2. Perfect. By the way, I can do the same thing for these arrows. It looks a little bit strange, so I will say object fit like that. Okay. So how I'm gonna use this index? Only thing I should do is coming here for wrapper and giving inner style, and I'm gonna give here transform effect, and we are gonna move this wrapper on the x-axis, so it's gonna be translate x, and I'm gonna use here my index. For the first image, it's not gonna move anywhere, it's gonna be 0, but when I click this button, it's gonna move on the x-axis to left side. It's our origin, and the left side is the negative side. If I say 100 VH, it's gonna move just one image. But if I multiply this by our index, and if I write here VW, Let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, first image, I'm clicking, and second image, I'm clicking again, third one, and if I click again, it's gonna go to first one again. And here, same thing. Perfect. But as you can see, animation is too sharp. Let's give some animation for this wrapper featured module, and here for wrapper, I will say transition 1.5 seconds. For all animations, timing function will be is in out. So it's gonna happen in 1.5 seconds, and this is gonna be our animation style. If you want to learn more about these animations, transitions, transforms, you can check the description. I have an awesome course for this. You can master your CSS animations. Let's see what's gonna happen. I'm clicking. As you can see right now, it's much more smoother. So we finished this slider also. I especially didn't use any library, that's because I want you to see how easy to create this kind of functionalities. You don't have to download any library. You can do everything by yourself. So let's list our products. I'm gonna close everything here. Oops, what I did. Okay. And I'm gonna create new component. And it's gonna be product list or pizza list, whatever you say. I'm gonna quickly create my function here and import style. Let's create this style. Pizza list module, and quickly I'm just gonna create container as we always do, and class name styles.container. And inside I'm just gonna copy and paste my title and description. There is nothing important. We have styles title and styles description, and after that we are gonna have a wrapper div, and class name will be wrapper. And in this wrapper we are gonna have each individual pizza cards. In this case we are gonna need one more component. I will say pizza cart. I will say pizza. And let's create here some cards. Pizza cart. Okay, I should import this by myself. I will come here and say import pizza cart from my component. Like that. And let's multiply those cards. I'm just gonna write a couple of them. Of course, in the second video, we are gonna fetch them from our API. We are not gonna write them like that, don't worry. And let's see what we have. Of course, I forgot writing this list in my index.js. After featured, I will say pizza list. Okay, perfect. Let's take care of this style. Pizza list module. And for the container, I will give some padding. Top and bottom, right and left. And again, I'm gonna use display flex, but this time flex direction column. It's gonna be vertical. And align item center, like that. And for the description, font size will be a little bit bigger. And color, it's gonna be a little bit softer black, like that. And I will say width 70%. That's because it's really long, as you can see. I will say 70%. It's gonna be like that. Awesome. So what about this wrapper? As you can see, they are vertical. Wrapper, I will say display flex. In this case, they are gonna be horizontal. Let's center them. But there is a problem here. We cannot see right now that because it's just a small text. But if I go to pizza cart, but before, let's create pizza cart here. Module.css. container, and let's use it in pizza cart. I can just copy here and for cart and pizza cart. In this case, I can give here class name, and it's gonna be styles.component, container, and I can take care of this container right now. Here, I'm gonna give here width according to its parent, let's say 22%, but in this case, its parent should have width also, let's say 100%. Let's see right now. As you can see, even if I set 22 pixels, it means it should be 4 or 5 pizza here. They are all in the same line. That's because we used here display flags, and it makes them horizontal. To prevent this, I'm gonna write here flags wrap, and it's gonna be wrap. If they don't fit in this line, it's gonna just move to other line. So let's close here. And this list, okay, if I make this, for example, 50%, as you can see, there are only 2 items in the same line. Awesome. Let's give some more style here. I'll say padding 10, and again, display flags, and it's gonna be vertical, align item center, justify content center, and let's give some padding. Okay, it's much better, and let's fill in this cart. We are gonna have image, description, title. So let's create image first. Image from next image, and source will be from image folder and pizza, like that. And let's give some width and height. Again, you can give a parent and make it position relative, and then you can write here layout and fill. And height will be 500 also. Again, I'm gonna copy and paste less important part like h1, span, description, and their styles are here. It's not that important. Let's see. They are really huge. I'm gonna decrease this again. So let's take care of this title, price, and description. For title, font size will be 18, font weight will be bold. And color, again, our main color. Okay, it's better right now. And for price, let's do the same thing, but the color will be this dark color, let's say 666. And finally, for the description, I'll say text align center, like that. And color again, a little bit softer, let's say 777. For the consistency, you can use all those colors in the global CSS, by the way. You can create here a variable, you can use them, but anyway, let's see. Oh, there's a problem here. As you can see, our navbar under this image. To prevent this, we can use z index. Here, I will say z index 999. Like that. Perfect. As you can see, I'm scrolling and it's coming with me. Perfect. So what else we have? We are gonna have footer. But before, I'm gonna give for this card cursor pointer, so we can click. Also, when you hover over, you can give different color for this background, as you wish. Let's close everything, and let's create here footer style. Module.css. Of course, we are gonna have a container. Let's close here, and let's take care of footer. Class name, but before I should import this. Styles from style. Styles and footer. like that. I can give right now styles.container, and again I'm gonna split this container into two pieces. It's gonna be two items like that. First one will include an image, and second one is gonna include our address, our contact things, motto or something like that. Let's create them. I'll say image from Next, of course, and source will be background PNG, and layout fill like that. And for the second item, we are gonna have 3 cards. Let's create like that and change the name. Okay, first card is gonna include a motto. Let's copy and paste. It's just h2 tag. It's gonna be style motto, and I just write this text. And for the second card, first we are gonna have a h1 tag, and it's gonna say find our restaurants. And finally we are gonna have a p tag. Let's say class name styles.just text, and I'm gonna write here my address. Let's copy and paste here like that, and we are gonna have 4 restaurants, for example. So basically I can copy and paste them. It's nothing special. And finally let's write here working hours, and again I'm gonna use same h1 tag here. Remember, we have find our restaurants and one more working hours. And again I'm gonna use same p tag, which is text, and I'm gonna write here working hours. I'm passing here quickly because there is nothing special, just text. And what about CSS? Let's take this here and let's close this sidebar. For the container, again I'm gonna make this full screen, but using calculate and considering this navbar. And background color, let's say dark gray or soft black. And I will say display flex. Let's see, we didn't give any size for those items. Let's say flex 1, and I will say position relative. In this case we will be able to see our image, and again I'm gonna give object fit. You can use cover or contain like that. So what about this right side? I'm gonna make this item display flex again. They are gonna be horizontal. And for cart, for each cart, remember we have 3 cards. This is our motto, address, and working hours. I will say flex 1 again. So they are gonna be in same size. And let's give some padding from left and right like that. And let's take care of those colors. Title, font size 18 pixels, and color will be this golden color. And for text, color will be light gray like that. And finally for motto, color will be a little bit darker. Let's choose here like that. Okay, anyway, and nice. By the way, I can give some padding for this second item. Actually, I can change this flex. For this image it can be just 1, and this right side it can be 2. So I will do the same thing as we did before. Remember how I am using second item? I will just use last child, and I will say flex 2. In this case it's gonna be bigger, and I'm gonna give some padding, let's say 50, and I'm gonna separate them like space between. Perfect. It looks really cool. So we finished our footer also. You can give them a link and you can go to Google Maps or something like that. And what about the product page and cart page? So let's create our product page. But to do that, I'm not gonna just write here page like that. We are gonna need our item ID, something like that. And for each ID, we are gonna fetch different products. Of course, they are same right now, but after API, they are gonna be different pizzas here. And when we click them, we are gonna get this ID. If I create here folder, which is product, I'm just gonna write here its ID like that. And JSX. Let's close everything and open this again. I'm gonna create here my function. Of course, we should change this name. We cannot write this like that. And I'm gonna change to product. And again, let's import styles and image. And I'm gonna create this style here. And firstly, container. I will give class name styles.container. And what I'm gonna do, of course, after API we are gonna fetch our data, but for now, for the design part, I'm just gonna create here a pizza object like that. As you can see, ID, image, its name, and its prices, and finally description. And what I'm gonna do here, firstly, we are gonna have two different containers. Let's say left side and right side. And for the left side, we are just gonna show our image. To do that, I can create image container. Image container, I'm gonna make this position relative and show my image. Alt and source. Of course, I don't have to write any URL here. We already have. We have pizza and image. I can use it. Pizza and image. And again, layout and fill. Let's take care of this style quickly. Product. Like that. And for the container, I will do the same thing. 100 VH minus 100 pixels. And display will be flex. And for the left and right side will be flex 1, which means same size. So right flex 1, and let's take care of this image container. I will say width 80% because our image gonna be a little bit smaller. H will be the same. Of course, if you are giving height and width, and if you are using percentage here, you should give size for the parent. We already have width, which is flex 1. I will say height 100%. And I'm gonna center everything inside. Align item center, justify content center. And let's see. If I go to product and some ID here. Oops, it's not products, it's product. You can use products also, doesn't matter. And our pizza is really big. I forgot here position, relative I think. Okay, perfect. So let's give object width. Here I will say contain. Okay, it's much better. So what about right side? Firstly, let's give here padding 20. So all items is gonna start somewhere here. And let's shrink here, and actually we can close. And firstly, I'm gonna create my pizza name like that. H1 tag, title, and our name here. And for the price, we are gonna make something different. That because we are gonna have 3 different items, which one we are gonna show first. When we open our page, we are gonna show only small pizza price, and after we are gonna give some options here, and when user clicks to medium or large, we are gonna change this. To do that, we can use here use state hook. I will say const size and set size. Use state hook. And at the beginning, it's gonna be 0, which is price index. First item, 0, 1, and 2. We are gonna change it later. So if I come here and say, let's say span, and I will say $, and here I'm gonna write my price. So I will say pizza and price, and I'm gonna take the first item. Remember, it's 0, so at the beginning it's gonna choose 99.9. It's price like that. Okay. Let's give class name styles.price. So after this price, we can write our description. I'm just gonna copy paste. It's gonna be p tag and our description here. And after that, I'm gonna add here a h2 tag. Sorry, h3. And it's gonna say choose your size. And what I'm gonna do is creating here a div which includes 3 different sizes, and we can click any of them. We can choose our pizza size. So let's create here a div, and class name will be styles.sizes, and it's gonna include 3 different sizes. So I can copy this and paste here, size, and it's gonna include an image. Alt and source is gonna be image, size.png, and layout will be fill. And finally, I can write here any text. It's gonna be span, and I will say small. Class name styles dot, let's say number. So I will do the same thing for other sizes. It's gonna be medium and large. You can write here inch also. We are gonna use same image, but in the CSS part we are gonna use ant child, and we are gonna change their sizes. Let's do that actually. I will open product module CSS. Let's take this here. Okay. I'm not gonna change title, but I'm gonna change price. Color will be our main color. Font size 24 pixels. Font weight will be 400. And I'm gonna give border bottom 1 pixel, solid, and same color. Let's see. Okay, it's here, but we cannot see it because of this image, but something like that. Let's take care of this image. For size, I will say 30, height 30, and position relative. Okay, perfect. So let's make them horizontal. Remember this wrapper, display flags, and I will say justify content space between. But if I do that, let's see. As you can see, it starts from here and ends here. But if I give some size for this container, it can be smaller and we can see better. So I will say width 40%. Like that. Okay. So let's give cursor pointer for those sizes. Okay. I will say size and nth child is gonna be 2. And for the medium pizza, it's gonna be 40 pixels. And for the last child, it's gonna be 50 pixels. Okay, perfect. So what about those numbers? Remember, we have a number here. It's not number, but okay, anyway, it's not that important. I will say position absolute. I will do the same thing as we did here for the cart. So I will say top -5, right -5. Actually, we can increase, let's say 20, like that. And we can give some background color. Let's say teal, and I'm gonna give text color, it's gonna be white. Font size will be a little bit smaller, and let's give padding from left and right, like that. And I'm gonna give border radius maybe, and it's gonna be 10 pixels. Okay, perfect. So how I'm gonna change this price? When I click this, it should change to second price. So let's create here on click event. For this container, I will say on click. When we click this button, it's gonna set our size to 0. So I will do the same thing for others. It's gonna update to 1, and it's gonna update to 2. And remember here, we are showing our price according to this size. It's gonna be first element, second element, and third element. Let's see. I'm clicking, and it's updating. Clicking, perfect. It's that easy. And I'm gonna add here one more thing. It's gonna be additional ingredients. We will be able to choose any sauce or extra ingredients. Let's do that. Here I will say h3 tag again. It's gonna be styles choose and choose additional ingredients. Let's close here. And again, I'm gonna create a container, and we are gonna add each individual option. So let's say div, class name is gonna be styles and ingredients, and first option, let's say div again, and class name will be styles.option. And what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna create checkbox input. Type will be checkbox, and I should give here an ID. That because we are gonna choose our ingredients according to this ID, and let's say double. And also we are gonna need a name to update our state. Double, and let's give class name. It's gonna be styles.checkbox. And after that, I can write here any label. Let's say double ingredients, and I should give here HTML4, and it's gonna refer this ID. So when we click this text, it's gonna choose this input. What I mean by that? I'm clicking, as you can see, it's selected. Perfect. So I'm gonna create some other options. I will just paste here. There is nothing special, but don't forget to change your ID and name here. It's important, and HTML form. They should be same. I just added extra cheese, spicy sauce, and garlic sauce. Like that. Okay, let's give some style. I'm gonna open style again. And let's come here. And remember what we have. We have ingredients wrapper. I will just say display flex, and I'm gonna give margin bottom here. As you can see, they are horizontal and there are some space here. Later we are gonna add here a button, and it's gonna look better. Okay. And for each option, again, I will say display flex, align item center, and let's give some margin between them. I will say font size 14, and font weight will be 500. Like that. So what about this checkbox? I'm just gonna increase width and height. Height 20. Like that, it's bigger right now. And it looks really nice. And finally, let's add here our button, maybe quantity input. Let's do that. Here I will say div container is gonna be styles dot, let's say, add, and inside I'm gonna create input, and type will be number, that because we are gonna choose our quantity, and default value will be just 1. We will be able to increase or decrease this, and class name, let's say quantity. Okay, after this input, I will just create button. I will say add to cart. And class name, styles.button. Let's write here quantity first. Width will be 50, height will be 30. Oops, it's not here. I didn't save. Okay, perfect. For this button, again height 30, so same size, and let's give some margin. It's gonna be 10 pixels. Background color will be our main color. Text color will be white. Let's delete border, font weight 500, and cursor pointer. Like that. It looks really nice. So our product page is ready also. When I add this product to cart, we are gonna increase this number. Of course, we are gonna do this in the next tutorial. But for now, let's design our cart. Let's create new page. I'm gonna close everything. And for pages, I'm just gonna create new file. And it's gonna be cart.jsx. As you can see, I didn't create any folder. That's because we are not gonna use any slug here, like ID or name. It's gonna be just one page. So let's create our function here. Class name will be container, but before I'm gonna import this style and image. Let's say styles.container. Let's create this. For styles, cart module style. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna split again, and the first part will be a little bit bigger compared to second one, and it's gonna include our products, its price, name, additional things, and second one will be checkout container. Let's do that. Again, left and right. And for the left side, I'm gonna create a table. Let's say table, and class name will be table. And I'm gonna write my columns. I will just copy and paste. I'm not gonna waste your time. As you can see, TR and TH is gonna be our titles. Let's see. I will go to cart component, cart page. Oops, it should be, I think, lowercase. Okay, it's here. As you can see, product name, extras, price, quantity, and total. So let's create other TR and let's add our products. This time I'm gonna use TD. They are TH because they are title, but this time it's gonna be TD. What we have is gonna be our product. Basically, I can just add here product image. To do that, I'm gonna create again image container, and class name, image container, of course styles, and inside I'm gonna add my image. Alt and source. We are gonna change all of them after next tutorial. It's gonna be pizza again, and layout fill. And don't forget here object width. It's gonna be cover. Okay, second one will be name. Let's create here another TD, and I will copy and paste this product name. It's gonna be Coralzo. And one more TD. And let's see what we have. We have extras. So I can paste my extras span here. You have double ingredients, spicy sauce, and other one will be, let's see, price. Why it's writing double? Okay, I will write here price like that. Other one is quantity and total. Basically, I can just paste them directly. I think you understood. As you can see, quantity and total. And let's see what we have. Of course, we cannot see. We should make this parent relative first. So let's take this here and let's see what we can do. Firstly, I'm gonna give here a padding, and let's take care of this image first. Otherwise, we will not see anything. Image container, let's say 100, height 100, and position relative. Okay, perfect. So what I'm gonna do is splitting this container, display flags, for left and right side. I will say for the left side it's gonna be 2, for the right side it's gonna be flags 1. Okay, nothing has changed because we don't have right yet. And what about this table? As you can see, all those texts are too close to each other. I will say with 100%. It's gonna be bigger right now. And right now we can see our flags too. And I'm gonna give some space here. It looks really close. To do that, we can use border spacing. And it's gonna be 20 pixels. Right now it's much better. So let's write name here. Remember, it's our pizza name. Font weight 500. Color will be this color. And font size will be bigger. Like that, but again I made 50, I think, yes. Okay, perfect. So I can change this total. I can increase font weight. Let's say total font weight 500 and font size will be 18 pixels. Like that. So let's take care of our box here. We don't have anything there yet. Inside right, I'm gonna create box. So I will say div. It's gonna be styles.box or wrapper. And let's create a title first. It's gonna say cart total. And I'm gonna add some texts here. Basically, we have subtotal, discount, and total. And finally, after those divs, I'm gonna create a button. And it's gonna say check out now. And let's say class name styles.button. And let's give style here. I will say wrapper. Width will be 90%. And I'm gonna give max height. And it's gonna be 300 pixels. And let's say background color 333. I just set max height, that because if we add here 5-6 items, this box will be longer, but we don't have that much items inside, so it's gonna look ugly. That's why I made just this max height. Okay, by the way, I can give padding 50 pixels like that. Actually, I can delete this top padding, or I can just reduce padding top. It's gonna be just 10 like that. Let's give here display flags direction column, column, and justify content space between. So we are separating them. And I will say text color and white. Okay, so I can separate these titles and those price. What we have here, let's see. We have total text, but these items, these titles have different class name here. we can change it. I will say margin right, just 10 pixels, like that. Perfect. So finally this button, height 30, color will be orange, font weight bold, and cursor pointer. Right now I set 300, and I can give maybe some margin here, margin top 20. Okay, perfect. So if I write here another table item, let's just copy this tr and paste again. As you can see, another one and other ones, and cart will be always here. I can just leave 2 of them and it looks perfect. So we finished this page also. So I'm gonna create one more page here, and it's gonna be order page. I will say orders, and again we are gonna fetch data according to our ID. So I will say ID, and I'm gonna create function. Let's change this name. I will say order, and again style and image. I'm gonna create new module. Like that, and quickly I'm gonna write container. Okay. It's gonna be class name, styles, and container. And again, I'm gonna split this container. It's gonna be left side and right side. Let's take this here, and I will say padding 50. And again, it's gonna be display flex, and for the left side I will say flex 2, and for the right side it's gonna be flex 1. Actually, we are gonna do the same thing for the right side. We are gonna have a box like cart page, remember we have wrapper and our cart. Basically I can just copy this and paste inside right side. And what I'm gonna do is changing this text. I'll say paid, and it's gonna be disabled. So we are not gonna make any changes, and I'm gonna paste here exactly the same code. Nothing has changed. Wrapper, text title, and let's change our button. Background color will be white. Let's expand this like that, and height will be 30. And this time I'm gonna change this text color, and it's gonna be teal. And font weight bold, margin top, and finally I'm gonna give a cursor, but this time it's gonna be not allowed. Let's see. I'm gonna write here any order like that, and as you can see, it's here. So let's take care of this left side. Firstly, I'm gonna create 2 rows here. First one will be our order. It's gonna include order ID, customer name, price, something like that. And second one will be our order status. So I'm gonna close here, and inside left I'm gonna create div, and it's gonna be row. And as I said, we are gonna have 2 rows, and inside first one again I'm gonna create a table. Let's come here and take this table, and let's delete this second item. Okay, and I'm gonna change some texts here. First one will be order ID. I will say customer is going to be our name and surname, our address, and finally total. Let's delete here. And for the first column, we don't need any image. I'm gonna delete here. Actually, let's delete all this column, and this is gonna be our ID, order ID. I'm just gonna write some numbers here, and I'm gonna change here. It's gonna be customer name, like that, and address. I'm just gonna make up some random address here, and let's delete this quantity. Okay, let's see what we have. Okay, let's take care of this table, and after left side I'm gonna say table with 100%, like that, and I will say again text align left, and let's give some margin here. So let's create status items. Inside second row, I will create a div, and it's gonna be status, and inside we are gonna have 3 items. First one will be status icon, image paid.png, and I'm gonna give width and height for this. It's gonna be 30 pixels, but we don't have these images yet. Let's drag and drop them. Like that. Okay, and it's here. And after this icon, let's create a span, and I will say payment. And finally, we are gonna have another image. Let's create a div for that, a container. I will say styles.checked icon, and inside this I'm gonna create another image, and it's gonna be checked.png, and let's say 20 and 20, like that. Perfect. So let's create other status also. They are gonna be 4 status. Second one will be preparing. After payment, we are gonna start cooking our pizza, and we are gonna notify the user, and let's change here. It was bake.png, I think, and second one will be bike, and this is delivered. On the way. Okay, perfect. So let's make this row display flags. After table, I will say row, but the last child, I will say display flags, and justify content, maybe space around. Okay, so for each status, they are gonna be vertical. So let's write here status, display flags, flags direction, and I will say align item center. But it looks a little bit strange, there is a space here. So what I'm gonna do is giving here, maybe let's make this space between, but I can give here maybe 60%. Let's try. Maybe 80. Okay, it's better. So let's give some functionality here. At the beginning, we are gonna see only payments, and preparing will be in progress, and others will be disabled. So how I'm gonna give this functionality? So instead of this status class name, I'm gonna delete them, and I'm gonna write here a function. I will say status class maybe, and inside as a parameter I'm gonna give their index numbers. It's gonna be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So let's create this one. I will say const status class. Let's write here index. And we are gonna need a status. After next tutorial, we are gonna fetch this status. But for now, for the design part, I'm gonna create here just manually. It's gonna be status and let's say 0. It's gonna be only payment. So let's create here some conditions. I will say if index minus status less than 1, I'm gonna return some class name. It's gonna be styles.done. And we are gonna have 2 more. And this time I will say if it equals 1, you're gonna understand better right now, don't worry, and greater than 1. And in this case, I'm gonna change this, let's say in progress, and maybe undone. So what I did here, for the first condition, when we order pizza and when we complete payment process, we are gonna see this check button and its class name will be done. That because it's 0, this index, and index minus status, which is 0 minus 0, is gonna be 0. If it's less than 1, it's gonna be done. This status, its index is 1, and when we come here 1 minus 0, it's gonna be 1. In this case, it's gonna be styles and in progress. And other case, 2 minus 0 or 3 minus 0, they are gonna be greater than 1, and their class name will be undone. It's that easy. Of course, you can create new components for those status, but we don't have many components, just 4, so they can stay. So in this case, we don't need this status. Let's copy here, and it's gonna be done, in progress, and undone. Undone is not the word, but I don't know what can we say there. Okay, anyway, for undone, I will say opacity 0.3, like that. But what about this in progress? I just want to give here an animation. Animation name will be in progress. It's gonna take 1 second. Is infinite and alternate. And again, if you want to learn more about animations, transitions, you can check the description below. And here, let's create our keyframes. Animation name in progress, and it's gonna start from opacity 0 and it's gonna end on opacity 1. Let's see what we have right now. As you can see, we gave this animation, and what about those check buttons? Did we give here any class name? No, we didn't. Let's give. I'm gonna select them, and I'll say class name styles.checked button or icon. Okay, let's take this. And I will say, if it's undone or in progress, make this disappear. So I will say undone and checked icon, and also in progress check icon is gonna be display none. Like that. As you can see, it's only here. Perfect. So let's take care of responsive design. If you open your console and click on this mobile device button, you are gonna see the mobile version of your app. And as you can see, our application is not responsive. Let's handle this problem. To do that, we are gonna use some common breakpoints. We are gonna use those sizes. As you can see, for mobile devices, we are gonna use 480 to 768. We are gonna use it for iPads or any other tablets. and this number too. This number for small screens and others. For this tutorial, I'm gonna show you only one of them, and you can just take care of other breakpoints. If I do this one by one, this video might be really long. Let's get started with Navbar. But before, I'm gonna comment out this footer, that because even if we make this Navbar responsive, we are not gonna see it because of this footer, because it's really large. So I'm gonna open layout and comment this footer out. Okay, so let's open Navbar CSS, and I'm gonna open here also. Okay, so how we are gonna write our breakpoints? It's really easy. We are gonna use media query. I will say media screen, and I'm gonna write here my condition and max width, and it's gonna be 480. In this case, if it's smaller than 480, we are gonna use these CSS styles. So what we are gonna do? Firstly, I want to delete those links here. Remember, it was item and child too. Let's paste it here and display none. And as you can see, it's disappeared. Right now, I can make this first child a little bit larger. It was flex 1. So I'm gonna come here and first child or and child 1, and flex will be 3. Let's see. It was 1 at the beginning. Right now, it's flex 3. Perfect. By the way, you can create here a menu button and you can show your links. I'm not showing because we are not using any links, but if you want to, you can check the previous Next.js project. You can find it in my other tutorials. So what about this slider? Let's close here and here. Let's open featured CSS. And I'm gonna do the same thing quickly. And for container, remember it was full screen like that, but I'm gonna reduce this size. It's gonna be maybe half. Let's say height 50 VH, like that. But those arrows are not in the middle. If I make this container position relative, okay, it works right now. Remember, our featured component starts from here, and these arrows are in the middle right now. So let's handle this pizza list. I'm gonna close here and I'm gonna open pizza list CSS. And remember what we have, description here, and also we have a title here. I can center this. I'm gonna paste my media screen and I'm gonna say title, and it's gonna be text align center. And for description, it was 70%, so it looks really small. Let's make this larger. So I will say with 90%. And again, text align center. Okay, it's much better. And as you can see, our pizza cards are really small. That's because we gave 20%, 22% for the width. We are gonna change it. Let's open pizza cards module. And as you can see, it's 22%. Let's make it 100%. So we are gonna see only one item per line. So container with 100%. Oops. Like that. But those texts are really small. Let's make them bigger. For title, font size will be, let's say 30. And for price, font size will be 24 maybe. And for this description, maybe it can be the same. For description 24, like that. Perfect. So we can change footer module. Okay, but let's open our layout here, and let's see. Okay, firstly, remember we have an image here, we can delete that. And if you remember, we have two items. First one is the image and second one is those cards. So if I say item and first child, I'm gonna make this image display none. And after that, I'm gonna make this second item flex direction column. So if I say item and second child, or just item, doesn't matter, flex direction column. As you can see, they are vertical right now, but there is a height here. Let's check. As you can see, our container is 100 VH minus 100 pixels, but what I'm gonna do is giving auto for this height. In this case, we are not gonna have a specific height, so if I come here and say container and height auto, as you can see, the background is totally black right now, and maybe I can center those texts. Text align center, like that. Let's increase this font size for title and text. For title, font size maybe 30, like that. And this text, remember, here, I'm gonna make it maybe 20. Okay, it's much better, I think. Perfect. So we finished this home page. Let's take care of product page. Okay, as you can see, our image is not here and it's a little bit large. So what can we do here? Let's close here and open product. And open here. As you can see, again, we have a height. We can make it auto again. I will say container and height will be auto. And text align will be center. And remember, our image is somewhere here. That's because it's display flex. Let's make this vertical again. Flex direction column. Okay, it's still not here. Remember, we have an image container here, which includes pizza image, but its width and height 80%. Let's change it. I will say image container, and I'm gonna say 70VW. Height will be the same. It's gonna be square, like that. Let's give some margin here. Margin top 20. And what else I can do? I can reduce this space a little bit. We have title, and I will say margin 0, or maybe just 5. Okay, so our description is good, but what about this container? Remember, we have sizes container and its width is 40%, so it ends somewhere here. If I make it 100%, it's gonna contain all this screen. So let's do that. Sizes and width will be 100%. If I do that, it's gonna be really close here. So let's give some margin or padding. I will say 0 pixel and 20 pixels. From left and right will be 20. Okay. Let's check our functionality. It works properly. And those ingredients. And again, let's remember what we have. We have a container, which is ingredients. We can change it. It was display flex, but I'm gonna make this flex direction column. Like that. But they look really small. I will say for each option, give a margin so we can give some space, and I'm gonna increase this font size like that. But in this case, this checkbox is really small, and we have checkbox here, width 20, height 20. We can increase, maybe 25, like that. And let's increase those buttons. We have quantity and button, and their heights are 30 pixels. Let's say quantity, and for button, height will be 50 pixels. And I'm gonna give some padding inside. Maybe 10 from top and bottom, 20 from left and right, like that. And it looks better right now. Perfect. So let's take care of cart. I'm gonna enter cart page. Okay, firstly, let's make this container flex direction column, and for this table, we are gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna close here and open cart. This is our container. Let's write here media query, and for the container, I will say flex direction column. This cart is here right now. And for this padding, 50 is too much, I think, so I will say padding 20. Okay. But it's still big because of this table, so I can make it vertical also. But how I'm gonna do this? I'm gonna choose my table here. Table, and I will say display flex direction column. And I'm gonna center everything. Align item center, justify content center. Like that. But it's still not vertical. That's because this container is tr. Remember, let's open our cart component. And as you can see, we have tr and another tr, and its class name is tr. Let's change it. I will copy here first, and it's gonna be tr and title. And for those items, it's gonna be just tr or tr item. And for the other one, okay. Right now we can change them. Firstly, I'm gonna delete those titles, that because they are gonna be vertical and there is no sense to write their names. So let's say tr title, and it's gonna be display none. Okay, so let's make them vertical. I will say tr here, display flex direction column, and right now they are vertical. I deleted titles, that because we cannot write them here for each line. By the way, let's center them. Like that. And I'm gonna give some margin between each item. Let's say 20. Actually, let's say margin bottom. Like that. And let's increase those texts. For name and for total price, it's gonna be 24 pixels. Like that. But this image is really small right now. Let's check what we have here. We have image container and its width and height 100%, pixels. We can change it. I will say image container and width maybe 30 VW, and height will be the same to make it square. Maybe 35. It's enough, I think. You can make it bigger or smaller as you wish. Let's make them bigger also. I will say extras, price and quantity. And font size 22, like that. By the way, we can give any text here before this line and this line. How we are gonna do this? There's an awesome feature for that. So I will say for this price, I'm gonna use before. And I'm gonna write here my content. It's gonna be price. And space here. As you can see, it writes here price. And I can make it font weight bold or maybe 500. Like that. And I can do the same thing for this quantity and total. Let's multiply this, and for quantity and for total. Perfect. It looks much better. But what about this wrapper? Let's check what we have. As you can see, it's 90%. I'm gonna make it 100%. And awesome. What about order page? I'm gonna do the similar things. Let's open order here. For container, I will say flex direction column, and again tr title is gonna be display none. But I'm not sure we gave this class name or not. Okay, we didn't. Let's open order here. Here ID. Okay, it's tr title. And for this item, it's gonna be just tr. Okay. Right now, let's check. Okay, it's not here. And let's make this tr horizontal. Sorry, vertical. Display flex direction. And I'm gonna center them. Okay. Font size maybe 20. Perfect. And I can do the same thing as we did before. For ID, for order ID, I will say before, and content will be, content, I will say order ID. And for the username, it's gonna be maybe customer. Like that, but let's make them 500. And for address and total. Total here, and I will say address total. Okay, perfect. So what about this status bar? Remember, this is our first row and this is second one. So I can use row and last child. I will say flex direction column. And I'm gonna center this like that. Justify content center. Why it's not centered? It's 80%. Let's make this 100%. Okay, perfect. And for each item, for done, in progress, and undone, I'm gonna give margin bottom. In progress, margin bottom maybe 20, like that. Perfect. And for this wrapper, again, it was 90%, it's gonna be 100%, like that. So we finished this project. I hope you enjoyed. It looks really nice. And in the next lesson, we are gonna create our own API. We are gonna add our products. We will be able to delete them, update them, and a user will be able to buy any product. And we are gonna activate our checkout button. And which payment method you wanna see, guys? Just let me know in the comments. Stripe or PayPal or any other. So it's pretty much all. I hope you liked it. If you learned something new today, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And you can support me by using the join button or the link in the description below. I hope I will see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.